I'm Jordan Rayner, and this is the Word Before Work. Today we're reading from Matthew 10, verse 28. Here's what it says. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. When we are engaged in the work that God has called us to do in the world, some level of persecution is inevitable. For William Wilberforce, who had chosen to make the abolition of the powerful slave trade the great object of his life, the persecution was intense, to say the least. Wilberforce had every logical reason to be afraid for his life. During his decades-long fight to end slavery, multiple slave ship captains threatened Wilberforce's livelihood. One even challenged him to a duel. As one of Wilberforce's biographers said, quote, Wilberforce seriously believed he was likely to die violently when some enemy of abolition made good on one of the several threats he had received since becoming the cause's chief champion. End quote. Thank God that William Wilberforce was surrounded by other believers who encouraged him to fear God more than Wilberforce feared man. On his deathbed, the great preacher John Wesley wrote this to Wilberforce. He said, quote, unless God has raised you up for this very thing, you will be worn out by the opposition of men and devils. But if God be for you, who can be against you? End quote. Reminders of biblical truths like these kept Wilberforce going, even when he was in fear for his own life. But Wilberforce wasn't just afraid for his life. He also had good reason to fear for his reputation as he diligently and boldly shared the gospel with his fellow parliamentarians. In his journal, Wilberforce kept a list of friends, and next to each name, a series of what he called launchers, topics and angles he planned to bring up to steer conversations with that person to the subject of eternity. Wilberforce understood that Jesus has called each and every one of us to be quote-unquote full-time missionaries, sharing the gospel as we work in every square inch of creation, even if it means damaging our reputations. When Wilberforce was first elected to Parliament, there were 3 members who identified themselves as serious Christians. 50 years later, there were nearly 200. In the words of his biographer, quote, Wilberforce's influence to this end is hard to avoid, end quote. As you go to work today, fear God, not man. Whether you're in fear for your life or your reputation, whether you're fighting evil or sharing the gospel with coworkers, remember that if God is for you, no one can truly be against you. Today's devotional only scratches the surface of how God's Word connects to our work. If you want to go deeper, sign up for my free 20-day devotional called The Word Before Work Foundations at twbwfoundations.com. These email devotionals are designed to help you gain a rich understanding of the biblical narrative of work, how exactly your work matters for eternity, and how those truths influence how we should work today. Sign up for free right now at twbwfoundations.com.